Woof.
What's up, everybody? Another episode of SLTV. We are here with Lucci, and you got Kenny from Hit the Bid. What's going on, Kenny, man? How you doing?
Ladies, gents, I'm all right. I'm kind of cloudy, but we'll talk about that Friday.
Yeah. We have a special show for you guys on Friday. You guys are going to love it, so make sure you tune in Friday, SLTV. Me and Kenny are we're going to go a little off topic here on Friday, so you guys will definitely enjoy it. So today, listen, on Wednesday sessions, we're going to try to do some rapid fire stuff, just go over some things that have been happening in the market. Before we get into that, what's going on with you, Kenny? Did you trade today? You know, what do you think of this market here? Dude, this shit was crazy. After the oil bounce, and we're gonna get into that later. We closed here at like 201 and a quarter on the SPY, which was basically highs of day after looking like death, man. Into the afternoon at fresh lows. So crazy session, man. Real choppy, real tough, man. Real tough for a lot of people.
Oh yeah. Well, let me look a couple of things. It all started with me being on the Benzinga, the Benzinga chat today. They do a live show on the Benzinga, and as we're talking about it, and the guy was ready to like grill me about me being super bullish last time I was on the show, and I was glad he brought that topic up because I was like, listen, we're traders. But I was like, listen, I've switched my gears. It's public knowledge. I tweeted out there. I put it on StockTwits that I've hated this market since basically the beginning of November. And as we're speaking, I'm saying, listen, I'm covering my cues right here at 100 spot 50 because I mean, where are we really going to go from here? And then we start rallying like a beast. Hang on a second. Yep. Hang on. Give me like a half an hour, dude. Yeah, do whatever you got to do. Same thing every day, right? I say, don't come in the room if you hear me talking. It's just crazy, but so. It started off pretty good, and then what was nuts is they were grilling me on my U.S. steel because I was saying $50 by the end of the year, and this was like 3 or 4 months ago. But you know, again, if you were paying attention, I was selling out of that stock, you know, long ago. And coincidentally, there was a quick takeover rumor at the beginning of the day, broke the VWAP. So the day started out not too bad. Covered the shorts. I didn't go long, but then I went long the U.S. steel and made some money. Then all shit fucking hit the fan. All right, let's get real here. Yesterday was an amazing day because I'm a big fan of reversals and the VWAP, as you know. Alcoa, my stock. My favorite stock. All positive news coming out of Alcoa. Great earnings. Klaus on the morning session, Klaus in the afternoon kept reiterating the change of the company. Everything's clicking. This is going to be the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, we were floating up on the SPY too. That was the day too where there was more QE talk out of Europe, and we opened up at like 206, 205 or something on the SPY. Alcoa opened up at like 1640 or something like that.
Yeah, and it really couldn't get out of its way right away. But then it did the same sucker rally as it did in October.
Same thing, and this one is ugly. This one was ugly.
Up to 1650 by 3 cents, and everyone's like, "All right, here we go." And these people are psychopathic with Alcoa. People say this is going to 20 today. This
$20. Yep.
I was like, bro, this isn't a tech stock. If it goes to 17, let's be happy, and we'll start our rise to maybe 20 by the end of the year. Calm down, people.
It's Alcoa, man. She doesn't move like that. She doesn't move like that.
And I said to these guys, I was like, listen, if this thing rolls over again, you gotta not only sell it, but this time short this bitch with every amount of money you could find. Because if they roll over on this news again, there's just a guy out there fucking with this stock, and he's just like, I'm shorting the shit out of this at 1650, and I'm gonna crush all your hopes and dreams.
Right.
And there it went. Yep. And it didn't immediately take the market down with it, but that once again, October.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything flipped. Everything flipped that same day. Same day.
In October, the same exact stock, same exact trade, same exact price led to that October Ebola crisis. I know it was a coincidence, but it started with Alcoa.
Yeah, it's always a trickle-down thing. It's always like a subsequent. It's always like an accumulation of like shitty events, you know. And in this case, you know, we had the Alcoa, and then we had the rest. We literally had the rest of the market. We had the Tesla downgrade overnight, and we'll talk about that too. So before we get into too much, I mean, did you end the day positive? End the day negative? What happened?
No, It was my sizing.
Yeah.
That's what it was. But more about yesterday. It
Yeah.
was the KBH. When I was
The
in your room,
KBH. Yep.
I
Yep.
was in your room, and I was like, just like Alcoa, guys, this KBH looks like this good news nobody cares about. And I
Right.
shorted it once, made a little bit of money. And then it rallied back above 17. I'm thinking, look at me, covering near the lows, and this thing's going green. Then it
Right.
started to roll back over. I was like, you know what? Let me give it another shot. I'll do that 1650. I'll put a bid in it right above the low, 1626.
Right.
You know, I get done. This thing's hovering there. I think I look to my left. I look back. I look again. I'm like, wait a second. Does that say 1525? It fell a point.
Yeah, man. Yo, everybody who's sitting here, just coming in, KBH, this is a big home builder here, had earnings. I think it reported earnings before the open, right?
Right,
And then
right,
they got into their call,
right.
and then management warned on margins. That's what it was. Management warned on margins,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden the whole damn group tanked. Like if you take a look at KBH, you look at Lennar. What are some of the other big ones? Lennar had a similar move. Toll Brothers is another one. Hovnanian, that's one.
There
So
was
they all had similar moves. Do you have any insight as far as if, let's say, home builders start, let's say, coming in along with financials, are we topping the markets? I don't know how it happened before, but
I hate the market here, man. I'm telling you, people should heed my warning. I've been the biggest bull since, pretty much from '09. I
right,
gave up on the market for a while. I thought we were rolling over sometime in March of 2012, and then I
right,
went super bullish in June of 2012.
yeah,
But I have changed gears right now. I own nothing still, and I'm going to complain about not owning the BlackBerry in a little while. If we ever get got to that. But I'm not feeling this market right now. What I am feeling is just waiting it out and waiting for the entries and just, not going to watch Celebrity Apprentice in the middle of the day and missing.
We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna get to that. Well, let's get to that. Let's get to that. All
Yeah,
right. So that's KBH right there. By the way, if you look at like the past 3 years on like Toll Brothers and Lennar and all that kind of stuff, they look like they've been consolidating for a long ass time. Lennar looks like the strongest one, but that could be, that might be the top there for the home builders. Subsequently, that's also not a great picture there for the market. So take that with a grain of salt. Let's do Apple, man. Let's do Apple. So guys, obviously you heard the GoPro news yesterday. Apple granted a patent for a remote control camera system, and then finally GoPro saw a $40 handle. The shit was down 8 points. It was nuts, absolutely nuts. Finally, you got the 40 handle. What's your thoughts on GoPro here?
still, it was another one of those moves where it seemed like everybody was thinking this thing was going to tank.
Yeah.
And then they got that like 7-8 point squeeze just to get those
Yes,
those
yes, I remember from $55, she squeezed a good 10, something like it's 11 points or something,
right,
and then
right.
just faded out into darkness. And even if Apple didn't come out with this news,
Yeah.
GoPro still would have seen a $40 handle.
I think it was headed down there.
Yeah.
It's just that it's a hyped up stock and the bubble burst and
Yep.
it's got to find some footing. Again, this is something that I like. I mean, I like the GoPro product. I just didn't like the stock at 96. And
Dude, 96, man. Aren't you pissed that you didn't just balls deep short that shit, man? But dude, on the way up, I was shorting. On the way up, I was shorting. I was getting smoked, dude.
right.
And that was like 200. I lost like 200 grand shorting GoPro from like 60s, 70s, all that stuff. And then when you lose that kind of money and you're looking at it at 90 and all that, like you want to short it, but you
Right.
just can't do it, man. It does something to you mentally when you take that kind of loss. You just can't hop back in. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, maybe it's back to that ego, that pride. You don't want to get hurt again by that same bitch. It's like how many times could she break your heart? I mean, like, nah, I'm not doing it this time, and that's the time she goes.
And that's the time she goes. Speaking of bought up or hype stocks, we got Tesla also in the news from yesterday. Elon Musk had I don't know where he was, but he said what did he say? He said China. He said sales in China are weak or something like that for the fourth quarter in 2014, and that was like the catalyst for a
Right.
ridiculous gap down through $200, which everybody has been looking for. And dude, I missed that short. I was gonna be balls deep through $200, and I fucking missed that short. I was bitching. I was like, dude, if she opens below 200, I'm gonna kill somebody. And she opened at what, 186,
Yeah,
185. She opened at, and I think that's gonna be a short the rally stock for the whole year, man.
Yeah, it's good. Well, you know what? I'm just going to use today's low as the gauge. If it breaks today's low, it's going down another 20, 30 points, you know?
Yeah.
But they could bounce it another, 10 to 15. That's a tough name. You know
It
what
is.
It is. You got to appreciate Elon Musk. I don't know if you've been watching the stock. I was long this thing $30, $40 when they first won their first moto trend.
Okay.
I doubled my money. I thought I was a hero on that one too, from like 35 to 60, $70. I sold my last 100 shares around 85. Anyway. But the dude, I don't remember if you remember this, but he tweeted out, "You might want to buy my stock.
I remember that. I do remember
earnings
that.
report's going to be pretty great, guys."
I do remember that, dude. I do. He
wasn't lying, and he got away with it because the stock went up.
Yep.
I don't know why he's allowed to get away with that, but good for him. And this time, if you were paying attention, what was it, 3 weeks ago? He said, guys, the stock's a little pricey here. This is the CEO of the company.
This is the CEO. Dude, he doesn't fuck around, man. He doesn't fuck around. He really doesn't. I mean, he's off doing his crazy things, to help the world and all that kind of stuff, man.
He told people to sell his stock.
What CEO are you going to get of a publicly traded company is going to tell you to come out and do that, man?
Right, and it's down and that was at around 265, only down 30 off the highs, and and again, Tesla is not just, you're not buying the car, you're not buying, people are buying him and assuming that he'll start another company and he'll just put it under the Tesla. Who knows? He's landing rockets, he's doing things that nobody can do. I mean, he's invented something right now probably, and I don't care what happens, Tesla's still going to be the cream of the crop of
he's the new Tony. He's the Tony Stark, bro. He's the real life Tony Stark. That's what he is. That's who he is, man.
You want to be in bed with Iron Man, yeah.
All right, so next topic here, we got the bank earnings here. J.P. Morgan reported a 6.6 drop in quarterly profit as legal costs exceeded $1 billion. Jamie Dimon came out and said banks are under assault. He said we have 5 or 6 regulators coming at us on every single issue. I thought the banks were done with all this shit. Do you remember end of last year where all these financials were getting a bid, XLF was getting a bid, and it looked like they were done with all the bullshit, disclosures, penalties, all that stuff was gone. And boom, Bank of America almost hit $18, and now we're looking at it back at $16. We're looking at JPM, which was going to clear $64 at $56, man. Like, it was down 4% today. These things got destroyed, man.
Right. Well, you were saying it before. Is this a sign that this market's not going anywhere? And I think it is because, again, the most common, you always hear that this market doesn't rally without the financials.
Right.
And so now we've lost housing, we've lost momentum in the tech stocks, we've lost financials.
Yep.
What's keeping us up? I mean,
and all it is biotechs, which can't keep us up. There's no way, like names like Celgene and whatever the hell is good, Gilead and all that bullshit. There's no way that can hold up, the markets here.
What's going to happen is oil will start to rally now, coincidentally, and we'll just ride the back of, oil's going up. I guess the market should go up. And now we'll find something to make the market go up. But again, today was a big day. We held some spots.
Yeah, no, let's roll right into oil, man. Let's roll right into oil. Obviously, big move happened in oil at the end of the day. I mean, let's talk about it. Is this the bounce? Is this the start of the bounce? Was it based off a news catalyst, or was it just timing? It was just bam. We're ready to go.
It's based on me. I know people think I'm crazy when I say this, and every trader has happened. You get up from your desk after getting on a position, you come back, and you see a BlackBerry. We haven't said anything about BlackBerry.
Oh, no, we get into that.
I know. But today, after calling some nice tops yesterday on the Qs and the Alcoa and the KB Home, I'm thinking I'm invincible. I just had this inkling about oil. And I was talking about this last week. I need the most highly leveraged piece of shit ETF I can find.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my God, look at this one.
So what'd you find? Which one? It wasn't the UCO. You have another one.
I got the UWTI.
WTI. So this is 3 times bull. Is that what this is? Yeah,
And
this is three times
it's
long.
$3. I mean,
It's $3.
where are we going with this one, right? So I'm thinking exactly where are we going with this. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm buying 5,000 at a time. I haven't bought five
Right.
thousand of anything in a
So you're
while.
buying 5,000 share clips at a time. Okay.
Bang, right there at 505.
Okay.
Here we go. Oh, look, I'm sorry, 305. Oh,
305.
306,
305.
307, 308. This thing's going green. I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to make like 30, 40 cents on this, call it a day.
Yep.
And then woof. I'm like, oh, right back to what I paid for it. The bids just left. And, then it was basically chopping around, chopping around. Then it's sitting at 3. I'm like, if it breaks the whole number, I'm going to be kind of upset. So I was like, all right, let me put some stops on so I don't have to watch it so closely. Stops at 299, 298, 297.
Yep.
Right off the lows of the day. If it breaks the lows of the day, who the hell knows? I mean, it is a $3 ETF. I've seen, obviously you've seen these things. They go to zero, or they go and they reverse split them, and next thing you know, it just keeps going to zero. I don't know. I don't know what I'm buying
and
here.
Before you know it, you got shares of J.P. Morgan.
Right. So at least this one wasn't. I get up from the desk, I come back, and all hell's breaking loose.
Well, dude, because you had size, man. I mean, how much? I mean, what are we talking about here? 20,000 shares?
Well, what I was thinking was, and this is we were talking about this earlier. This is where discipline screwed me.
Right.
I'm thinking, okay, the oil's so beaten up. Everyone's saying oil to 40, oil to 40. That's what kind of makes me think that it's not going to 40 now, because everyone's on the same page. It seems. I don't hear many people saying oil bouncing, oil bouncing. So I was like, you know what? Let me give it a shot. So I had 5,000, then I added 3,000, and then at one point, this is before I put my stops on, and I was like, maybe I should just buy 12,000 more and just go fucking nuts with this shit, and then put a stop like 15 cents. Instead of taking a $600 loss, I'll take a $2,000 loss, but at least I'll feel good about myself being a man about this trade.
Right.
And then I was like, nah, I'm not going to quadruple up on this position. And I put the stops in, and I left. Obviously, I got stopped out.
Right.
I go to, and then the day just became shitty because I tried to catch a bottom on Alcoa. I was a little early on that. I tried to play a bottom on, what was it?
What? Aren't you still in that X? That X was nice at the close.
I know. This is why this day was a horror show.
Oh,
I gave up on everything. I just hit the monster key. I even sold the X at 22.13. And it wasn't such a bad price because it did break down and hit new lows after I got out of that too.
By the way, guys, if you didn't know, like anytime you talk to old school traders who have been in the game for a while, they'll say monster key, right? Like y'all don't say that shit. Anybody who's new to this game, you don't know what the fuck a monster key is. You don't know what a monster key is. You don't know what it does. You have never heard of monster key before, all right? I'm just putting it out there, all right? You little newbies, you don't know shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that sucks. You missed that. That sucks. You missed that oil move. And the market looked so bearish. It looked like we were going to tank even to 197 on the SPY, and then all of a sudden it was energies and oil that brought us back up. So.
Right. So
who knows, man? Let's roll to. Did you have another comment here before?
Considering that you and I, we think everything's manipulated, and if you do this long enough, you'll really believe it's all manipulated.
Oh, absolutely. So
as the market's tanking, and we've all been blaming oil, and but now we started blaming something else. We're blaming if it's not housing and the tech running out of steam, or housing tech, or blah, 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 oil, or whatever it was. What's the other reason that we've been going down? Whatever it was, we were just talking about it. I've just lost my train of thought. But now they'll just use oil as the reason to go back up.
As the reason to flow. Yeah, exactly. As the reason to flow. They'll always find a reason. You're absolutely right. They always find a new reason. And everybody always looks for that correlation. It's like, what's the correlation to energies? What's the correlation to finance? What's the correlation to treasuries? And all that kind of stuff. So it's always some new reason. So, and again, this is how, this is the guys who've been around for a while. We see these moves based on a lot of different things. Like, for example, like pre-market manipulation. We're gonna end with this after we do BlackBerry. But there's so many futures moves now off of the lightest amount of econ news or nothing even, and that ends up influencing perception. And hence why most people end up on the wrong side of the intraday trade, or even the directional trade for the next couple of days. We saw that with the ECB QE crap that came out a couple of days ago. I mean, the SPY was literally at 205 and change This was yesterday. This was yesterday. And then you're
Right.
talking about a 50 handle drop in the S&P, followed by another 20, 30 handles today. It's fucking disgusting. It is disgusting how
Yep.
much manipulation happens, man. All right, so let's move over to BlackBerry here. Samsung has recently approached BlackBerry to buy the companies for as much as $7.5 billion, looking to gain access to his patent portfolio, blah, blah, blah. This is the news that came out literally at like 3:45. And the stock was trading under 10, closed at 13. I mean, this is huge. This is huge. I don't know. I mean, they already said the buyout price, so I'm sure. Yeah, it says Samsung proposed an initial price range of 13 to 15 and a half. So who knows wherever that is. But I mean, there's your trade. There's your trade. That is your trade right there.
What I say, this thing's either going to 0 or 1550 this year, right? And that's
Oh,
exactly what
15, 15, 15. They're going to get bought out, probably at the high end of this shit. What do you think about Samsung buying this, though? I mean, do you think they're going to keep the BlackBerry name, or did you just think they're going to loop it right into and just take the users? I mean, they'll just own the users here and then just loop it right into Samsung products. I don't know.
You think I give a shit about that?
Dude, you use BlackBerries, don't you?
No. I was
Okay.
just tweeting. I was just when the stock hit 950 today, and I was like, "All right, all you shorting lunatics on stock twits,
Right,
this is
right.
where you all start saying this stock's going to 0, and this is where I have to say buy it now because it'll be 1050 in about a week and a half." And as
Right.
I'm tweeting that, I look over and I see it's hitting 10. I'm like, "What?" It went from 960 to $10 in like 2 seconds, and then I looked again. It was at $11. So it's just like, am I control? Am I seriously this is the kind of day where it was every other trade. If I said it, it worked. If I didn't do it, it did
Right.
work. If I let go of the button, something happened. And then the BlackBerry. Look at, I don't know. I don't know. But if you're in the stock, you might as well hang on to it at this
Yeah, you
point.
might as well. Yeah, absolutely. You got no reason to dump now. I mean, whatever the buyout price is, whether it's 14, 15, or whatever, that's
Yeah.
that's where you're gonna go.
And I can tell you something. Don't look for a white knight. And that got me in trouble back in the
White knight.
Enron days. White knight. I'm the only shithead that was buying Enron. And then next thing you know, Dynegy comes along and puts a bid in for the company, right?
Yep.
I'm going nuts in my office. People are like, "Oh shit, that was the sickest call, bro." And then this guy rolls up to me. He's like, "What do you think about a white knight?" I'm like, "What's a white knight?" He's like, "Oh, you don't know about the white knight?" I'm like, "No, what are you talking about?" He's like, "Now that Dynegy put a bid in, a white knight is someone who comes in and bids more for the company because now
Right.
there's a bid and they start a bidding war."
Right. We saw that with a lot of companies actually. This was this was like when we were coming back. There was a lot of bidding wars that were happening for a lot of different names. I can't remember a couple of them, but
Yeah.
but
Well,
yeah, that was always crazy.
the white knight shoved his sword way up my ass. Can I say that on Sang Lucci TV?
You can say whatever the fuck you want.
Because it was no more than, I don't know, 3 hours later where Dynegy pulled the bid and the stock went from $8 to 20 cents that
Oh
day.
man. Oh man.
I just watched $80,000 evaporate.
Oh man. That's
And I'm at
brutal,
lunch with
dude.
my wife, and my trader calls me. He's like, dude, it's at 20 cents. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, your Enron position, it's at 20 cents. I start crying in front of my wife. Like, oh shit, what happened? She thought somebody died. I'm like, I can't forget the fucking white knight.
Oh my god, dude.
I'm ready to sell the stock, and he's like, don't forget about the white knight. Fuck off with your white knight. If I ever hear anybody even mention the white knight to me ever again, so if anybody mentions, you BlackBerry owners out there, the white knight might come along and bid higher. Fuck the white knight, all right?
And plus, there is no white knight in this case. Ain't nobody gonna buy BlackBerry except for Samsung phone makers. I mean, besides that, Google maybe, but I highly doubt it. All right, here let's wrap it up here. What do you got? What do you got going on for tomorrow, man? There's some more bank earnings coming out tomorrow. What are you watching here for tomorrow? Let's throw out some stuff for them.
I'm going to watch to see if this market, I'd love to see it gap down and
Yeah.
gain some momentum and give me my reversals,
Okay.
on reports like that. But more importantly, before we even jump to what's going to happen today, to cut through all of this, and I was saying this on Benzinga again, all this craziness and all this psychopathicness going on in the market, the trades really did line up nice on the 1-minute VWAPs today. And it was a
Nice.
question of whether or not you just got in. Like you said, you didn't want to be hurt again by that position.
Right.
When the oil started rallying, these were clear-cut buys.
Yep.
Get in. And again, I just didn't want to commit. I committed a little bit by going with the OIL and the UCO, and I just didn't buy it with that same size. 1-minute VWAP, once it got violated that third time, they all just took off. And
Cool.
I think the way to fight this market is we need to just either build those auto traders that we're always talking about.
Right.
You know, if I wasn't at the desk, the auto trader would have had me in the.
Auto trader would have scoped it. Yep. Auto trader would have scoped it because again, it's just looking. It's not held back by the emotion. Absolutely.
Right. It would have been in the BlackBerry. Right.
Yeah. There's so many trades. Even if you have an auto trader, let's say for entries or something, and you worry about the exits or vice versa or something like that. That's hybrid or whatever. You know, these are all great. These are all great things to have. You know, as far as not missing trades. I think tomorrow I'll start messing around with some of these energy names, man. I might even mess around in some of the shit that you mess around with. What do you got? This rig? I mean, what's up? What's up?
Yeah, yeah. I was just gonna say rig and US Steel. They both came off. It was like they trade together. If you take a look at the chart, it was and again 1-minute VWAP on the US Steel was 21.88.
Right.
This fucker rallied to 21.40 into the close. That's a great day.
Yeah.
And then same thing with the rig. As US Steel was turning, obviously with the oil turning. At around about 2:30 this afternoon, rig breaks that 14.90, rallies up to 15.50. You can't beat that. That's
man.
You buying those $15 calls or even the 15.50s probably were kind of cheap.
Yeah, what I've been doing because of this volatility here is just trading the SPY. The thing is with the SPY, and everybody here who's trading options and all that kind of stuff, I'll just throw this out here for you, is that with the SPY, when you're trading the options, I mean, yes, they're thick and all that kind of stuff, and you can get a lot of size, but now, remember, volatility always gets priced into the options. So that means that if the market is experiencing several, 10-handle ups and down moves,
right.
You're not going to make the same amount of money that you would have, in a market that was dead, and then all of a sudden makes a 10-handle move. You're not going to make that. All that shit is priced in to your options. So if you get a 10-handle move on the SPY, like you're only going to pull out 30 cents on a SPY out of the money option, whether you're in a put or a call. You got to be okay with that. I mean, granted, we're going into Thursday and Friday, so these things are going to be extended a little bit. You might make 40 cents or 50 cents, and so on and so forth. But again, like you got to if you're playing the options markets, you got to understand why options are priced the way they are, why they move the way they do. Like I was trading 400, 500 lots of the SPY today. I caught like 6 handles, 7 handles. I made like 15 cents on the SPY. I made like $5 grand or 10 grand. Usually, a market moves like that. I'm doubling my money here. I'm making 20 grand. I'm making 30 grand. I'm making 40 grand. So you got to adjust with the environment, guys. Anybody who plays the options out there. And if you don't understand how to do that, fucking come to me and ask me how to do it.
First, always remember, don't buy options the day of the earnings report. Buy them the day after.
Please don't do that. Please
because
don't do
even
that.
if you get a move, you can get a 10% move and you're still losing money because the premium comes out and people don't realize, they see their stock gapping up, they're so excited. The next day their options open up flat. Like, stock's up 220.
Yep.
Wait a second. Why am I up 3 cents? So
Absolutely.
What I've been doing, and again, to your point, when that premium comes out, it's that second or third day after these companies report. Alcoa today, I mean, 15.50 puts yesterday and today. I mean, they were cheap, because you're not expecting an Alcoa to move $1.
Absolutely.
Monster move.
Absolutely.
And U.S. Steel starting to. The options are coming in a little bit. They're losing some of their juice. And now that the stock finally bounced, I got a fucking hard on for this stock, even though it's beating me to death. But finally held. It broke a 52-week low today, so I'm not exactly so excited about it. But it did come off those lows. So U.S. Steel rig tomorrow.
No doubt.
And if we start, rallying, I'll be just looking at my, multi-day VWAPs on the NQ futures and
cool. As far as the VWAPs, do all trading platforms offer a VWAP indicator where you can just outlay on your chart? How are you looking and accessing VWAP? Because I know not all brokers do it. I know for a fact not all brokers do it.
Nobody does it better than Thinkorswim. I don't work for them or do anything. I do know one of the programmers for Thinkorswim. That's why I gone to Thinkorswim. I've heard eSignal has a comparable kind of VWAP where you could set your deviation bands and the time frames that you want. But a lot of VWAP, a lot of platforms like Lightspeed, it's just one line. It really doesn't really help you too much. You don't have that much, that much data. To me, Thinkorswim, and again,
it's
if you
dynamic,
guys,
is what you're saying.
if you guys ever want to, help me set it up, me and my buddy could, walk you through it for a nominal fee. But it cuts through all the minutia and all the bullshit that is, trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And it takes a little bit less risk out of what we're doing. And when you see it work over and over and over again, it does add to your confidence that you're going to make money.
Cool. All right, guys. So check out the VWAP with Hit the Bid. Let us know. Email us. Lucci at sanglucci.com for me, and then you got info at hitthebid.com for Kenny. We are out. Remember to come back on Friday. We got a great show for you. We're going to talk a lot of shit about an extracurricular activity, which we know most of y'all participate in. And no holds barred, we're going to have some fun with this, all right? So we'll see y'all on Friday, man. Kenny, thanks for showing.
Yeah,
and I'll see you on Friday, bro.
All right, man. Later, bro. Good luck, everybody.
Latest.